Love is definitely in the air, and I cannot wait because I am sharing with you some super easy, affordable, romantic Valentine DIYs that are all from Dollar Tree. Better yet, I'm going to show you how you can take some of these from Valentine's into spring. Super easy to do, and I cannot wait. So, hello and welcome. This is a little bit of Common Crazy. If you are a new crazy crafter, I hope that you will introduce yourself in the comments. Let's get to these DIYs. For this very first project, you're going to want to grab a couple of these glass candle holders from Dollar Tree. Thankfully, these are the ones that are super easy to come by, so everyone should be able to find them pretty easily. And you're going to start off by giving them a very light coat of some spray paint. Now, if you can't spray paint because it's too cold where you are, you can go in with like a chalk paint or something, just to give them a little bit of grit so that when we move on into the color to get what we want for the brass look, that the wax that we're going to be using will have something to hold on to. Like I mentioned, you're going to be using two different waxes to get that brass look that everybody is wanting right now. And so the first one is Dixie Belle Gilding Wax in Gold, and the second one is the Rub and Buff in European Gold. And as you can see, they are the most beautiful colors together. You can find both of these on Amazon. I'll make sure that I link them in the description box for you. Now you will find that it doesn't take much wax to cover up these. I'm just using a really cheap makeup sponge and swiping on a thin layer all over. Then you want to let it sit for a couple of hours and then come back in with another layer. Again, wait a couple of hours, and you can see right here, it has just a really gorgeous, almost gold-like color. It's nice, but it's not quite there. That's why you want to use the Rub and Buff. And this time I'm using just a really cheap paintbrush and brushing it all over. And once I've gotten it all over, you can see the two different candlesticks and how much of a difference adding that Rub and Buff makes to making it really that brassy look that you want to achieve. After waiting a couple of hours, I simply popped in a couple of tapered candles. I picked these ones up at Dollar Tree and I think they are gorgeous, perfect for Valentine's Day, but so easy to transition into spring as well. Now, to give you some comparison, I actually put them next to a real piece of brass that I have, and I think they look so good. Now, if the pink candlesticks are not your thing, you can definitely tone it down and go with some white ones. These are my favorite flameless white candles that I pick up on Amazon. These candle holders are perfect any time of year, no matter the holiday or the season. For this next project, you're going to want to grab one of these wooden hearts from Dollar Tree and then some 220 sandpaper and sand them smooth. They do come pretty rough on the edges, so just take a minute to make sure that everything is nice and smooth. Then you're going to want to make sure that you have some wooden beads. Now, I picked this bag up on Amazon. They don't have this exact set anymore, but I'm going to link some that are very similar to it that you will love as well. And then, of course, you need some paint that will match your beads. Once your heart is completely painted, set that aside, and now it's time to thread those beads onto some twine. Now, the pack I got actually came with its own twine, so that made it super easy. And the order that you want to thread them just depends on how you want to do them. I just alternated mine, and I continued until I had a total of 31 beads on my string of twine. And then you're going to use these teeny tiny little hooks. I got these on Amazon. You can also staple or glue if you want to. I just found these to be the best way. Aren't they just adorable? Before you can hook them, you need to go ahead and tie off your beads into a knot, and then you're going to take that teeny tiny little hook and you're going to screw one into the top of the heart. I find the easiest way is to actually grab it with a pair of pliers to help me twist it in, and then you're going to do the same thing on the bottom of the heart. To attach your beads, you're just going to take one piece of the twine that's attached to the beads, thread it through that little hook, and then tie that off into a knot and then trim off any ends. Now for the bottom hook, first you need to go ahead and get 3 more beads, or at least one of each of the beads that you used on the top. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take one end of that twine, thread it through the hook, knot it off. And then for the second part, I grabbed the rest of the twine that came with my kit, and I'm just taking that to the bottom piece of my twine underneath those beads, again, tying it off into a knot, and then taking a completely separate piece of twine and wrapping it around the top a few times, kind of creating that head, because as you can see, we're making a tassel. Tie that off, and then On the bottom, because it's all still connected, I just used my scissors. I trimmed that off, made sure that it was nice and even. And there you have just something super easy, festive. And you can, of course, decorate this and style this in so many different ways. And if you wanted to use this for Easter, Dollar Tree also has little wooden eggs that you can decorate instead of a heart, and you can do something very similar. For this next DIY, grab one of these large foam hearts from Dollar Tree, and then you're gonna paint it whatever base coat or main color you want. It doesn't even matter. Just give it a nice coat of paint, and that's just to help the foam absorb the paint so that you can move on to the next step. And that is taking some salt wash. Salt wash is just a product or an additive that you can put with paint that makes the paint thicker, and it also makes it harder and adhere better. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, or at least mix it until you're happy with the consistency that you have. And then you're gonna brush this onto your heart, and it's gonna add a whole new texture, because before it looked kind of like a reptile, and we don't want this to look like a well, unless you do. If you wanna leave it like a reptile, by all means you do you. But this will give it just a really kind of fun plastery look to it. You could even go the whole concrete route, like if you wanted to paint this gray instead of pink. It's so much fun to use. But once this is set up and dried, I wanted to take it up another step, so I grabbed one of these 1/2-inch dowels from Dollar Tree. They come in the pack of 2. In order to put this inside of the heart, you do want to go in with something kind of pokey, so I'm using my scissors to do that, and then you can just stick that dowel right on in. Now there is a little bit of a separation between the dowel and the heart, so I just took some of that leftover salt wash paint mixture to place that there, kind of like you would like plaster or something like that. Just close that off and give it a more seamless look. And then I just stuck this in a plant to give just a little pop of Valentine without being way over the top. I tied a couple pieces of scrap fabric around the bottom of the heart. I just think it looks so adorable. For this next DIY, you want to head to the party section of Dollar Tree, and you're going to pick up one of these little plastic containers as well as a clear plate. Now this is the plate that I chose. I love it because it has this gorgeous scalloped edge, and then when you flip it over, it also has another little scallop. It just has a lot of detail. To create a stand, you simply just need to glue the 2 pieces together, and I'm using gel super glue. I find that's the best glue to use when you're applying it to plastics. And you just take it around the rim of the one piece and then go ahead and pop that platter right on top. It just takes a few seconds to set up and dry, and then you're ready to paint. Now I'm going in with Waverly's Ballet Slipper, which I think is a gorgeous pink. It's not too bright or not too, I don't know if girly is the wrong word, because if anything, I can definitely be girly. I just think that this is a very neutral pink, if that makes sense, because it has a little bit of a peachy undertone to it. Do keep in mind that you want to go ahead and paint this with 2 coats so you have full coverage, but then you are going to have just an absolutely gorgeous stand to display your items on. I love this for Valentine's Day because it's just soft and romantic, but by changing it up and just adding some bunnies, then you have a gorgeous piece that you can use for spring and Easter as well. For this next DIY, you want to grab one of these flower containers from Dollar Tree. I actually had a friend give me one after I lost my sister. I thought it was so sweet. Pop those flowers out. You can save them for summer, but we just want to use the container for now. Again, go in and paint it whatever color you want. I'm using Ballet Slipper. Another trick that I have is I like to have things be very cohesive by having them all the same paint color, and it really just helps your items flow throughout your house. Once the paint has dried, you can simply pop in some flowers, greenery, and then style it for Valentine's Day, and you just have such a soft and beautiful piece that it's easily transitioned into spring and Easter just by the decor that you put around it. But because I chose to use a very neutral pink, honestly, I could use this piece all year long. For this next DIY, I thought we could do something really fun with this metal envelope. To start off with, here I have a crocodile, and I'm just punching holes all around the edges, about 1 inch apart. Now you're gonna see I go back and change that, but for now, that's how I started. And then you're just gonna paint it, again, whatever color you want. I'm using Ballet Slipper by Waverly, but honestly, go with the color scheme that you're doing for Valentine's Day. After it's painted, I realized I actually wanted my holes to be a little bit closer, so I went in and added another hole in between each of my holes. So now they're about 1/2 inch apart.
Now what I'm using to punch out all my holes, this is called a crocodile, and it actually has 2 different sizes of holes that it can punch, and it punches through metal so easily. I love this thing. The reason why we needed holes is because we are going to be threading this yarn through and creating an edge with it. Now this yarn came from Dollar Tree. I love the texture of it, but any yarn will do for this. You're going to start by taking your yarn through the top, going down into the hole, and then you're going to wrap it around the side, come back to the top and down through the hole. So every time you go through a hole, it's going in through the top of the envelope, and that is creating the edge or the border that you want. When you get all the way around, then you can tie it off into the knot on the back side of it, and that will keep it in place. To jazz it up a little bit, here I have some felt hearts. They come in 3 different sizes. They're actually stickers, but after you peel the back, you realize they're pretty thin, and I didn't want mine to be that thin. So I went ahead and I stacked 3 hearts on top of each other, just using the adhesive that comes on the back of them to do that. And after I had all 3 of them, I then went ahead and placed it in the heart center of the envelope, and I absolutely love it. I feel like the felt heart mimics the yarn, and it just pulls it all together. And this is such an easy piece to add just a little pop of Valentine to your decor without feeling like you just went over the top. Now with this metal heart, I wanted to do the same thing that I did with the envelope, so I went ahead and I punched holes all the way around, but this time I did leave them an inch apart so you could see how the distance of those holes make a difference. Painted them the same color and then threaded that yarn through. And here you have, again, another just really simple and easy piece that can just add a pop of Valentine's Day without having to go over the top.
Here's some more Valentine inspiration that you can check out. Simply just click on the box that you see right here, or I'll put a link in the description box for you as well. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!